Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. That was my half an hour of quiet reading. So, thank you guys for spending some time with me. Um, basically, for those of you who are relatively new to my channel, 3 times a week I try to quietly read a book for half an hour. Hopefully, to encourage you guys as well to be reading. Now, I obviously, I can't read the book out loud, even though I know a couple people did mention, hey, why don't you read it out loud? Unfortunately, Mr. Real Estate, that is not possible because of, yes, copyright. All books are copyright protected, at least in modern times. So if I were to read a book out loud, I would have to make sure that either A, I had the rights to read it, or B, it was in public domain. So basically, I would have to find a book at this point that was written basically before the 1900s, essentially, right? I do try to do that occasionally, especially more for my French lessons, but not necessarily for modern books. Bye, Lori. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. Really happy to see you here. Hello, hello, Micro Farmer. It's nice to see you here. And of course, hello, Lashes Journey. I know you're probably working tonight. So I know that's probably why you're not out here chit chatting. Hello, hello, Paralife TV. So glad to see you here. And of course, hello, Mr. Real Estate and Orel. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope everybody is doing well. So I'm going to be nearly done this book. I have a funny feeling by next week, extreme worst in 3 weeks, I'll be done reading this book, and I will put it to a popular vote to see if I continue reading the other books in this series, or if I do read another book. And I will suggest other books, and I might pick one or two that are in the public domain so that I can sit there and read it out loud. And like I said, I'm just going to repeat it, guys. The only reason why I'm not reading it out loud is because of copyright. And when it comes to popular books like Game of Thrones, you best believe that they're very strict about it, and they will, there will be, some some people after you if you're not careful about it. So I do have to be mindful of that, guys. But also just because I don't like talking too much. Yes, thank you, Lori. I definitely will have a great evening, and thank you for joining and spending some time with me. But yes, I will be ending the live any minute now, guys. I just wanted to quickly say that, just so in case there's a few of you here that are relatively new. I think most of you know my channel and know this series well enough to know that, as you see with this banner, that once the book is up, I basically don't respond. Essentially, I do occasionally wave when I see somebody saying hi, kind of thing, but I try not to chat because the focus is really, like I said, for me to spend half an hour actually reading the book. Not only for me as a, let's be honest here. I'm doing it partially for myself to, give my own give myself a little opportunity to breathe and relax and just decompress at the end of the day. But also, hopefully, to encourage you guys to read as well. So that's why the banners does say read along. So you don't have to read the book on the screen, because I realize that, look, I'm moving around sometimes and I might read faster than some of you. I might read slower than some of you. So if you do have the Game of Thrones book, you're more than welcome to grab your own copy and read it, whether you've read it before or you've never read it before at all. This is the first time that I'm reading the book. And it was one of those like, oh, you hear so much about the book or the movie or whatever. And I just thought, you know what, I'll buy it. And I did start reading a page or two of it like 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Didn't like it, put it down. And then I proposed this series to people, and they said, you know what? Yeah, read Game of Thrones. That was a popular vote. So that's why I started reading it. Um, so yeah, so hopefully you guys are also taking the half an hour to read a book as well. Now, hopefully you're reading Game of Thrones as well, but even if you're reading another book, maybe the local newspaper, that's absolutely fine as well. I'm not here to force you guys, and obviously I'd have no way of knowing for sure who's doing what, right? I'm obviously not watching you guys, so you guys can say whatever you want to. I have no way of knowing what you guys are doing. But um yeah, you can't really see the words. Yeah, exactly. So obviously I get that you guys, even if you wanted to read my book, you're not really going to see what's on screen. But that's also partly by design, because again, I don't want to get in trouble with copyright as well. But like I said, once I see that I'm at the end of the book, I will put up a poll and propose maybe one or two books that are in the copyright domain, and consequently be able to actually read the book out loud. But that's the thing. That's the only reason why I don't read the book out loud, is because of copyright. Especially here in Canada, copyright is taken very seriously. Copyright laws are very extensive and very exhaustive here in Canada. So it is something that I have to be very concerned about. And I have no choice but to take it very seriously, guys. And I definitely would recommend that you guys as well, even if you're not in Canada, to take copyright very seriously. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I hear that person reading a book, I hear that person reading a book, and they're not getting in trouble. Now, obviously, YouTube is, a video sharing platform. So it's set up so that the algorithm will first and foremost pick up on things like music or sound effects, especially if you're talking about big artists like, I don't know, Kanye West or something, right? It will pick up on those very, very, very quickly, right? But if you're just reading a couple of lines here and there of a book, it's a lot harder for YouTube to, oh, wait a minute, this is a copyrighted book. Let me take this down, right? This is copyright strike. So, okay, let me just put that up on screen. When you are done, can you give us a review? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely will. Share my thoughts and so forth, and that's part of it too. Once I'm done the first book, because this is the first book. I don't know, Laura, if you know, but I'm probably you probably do already know, but just in case for those of you, the one person that might not know, Game of Thrones is a series of 7 books at this point. I think all 7 are published now. I think the last two, one was supposed to come out late last year, and the last one was supposed to come out the beginning of this year. I have the first 5. I do not have the other 2. I'm not 100% sure if I want to buy the other 2, especially since, as you guys saw on the screen, I bought the special edition leather bound version of it. And I'm not, I guess I'm a bibliophile where I really, when I buy series, so it's like whether it's a comic book or a book series or whatever, I like the editions to be exactly the same. So whenever I have books, like I bought, and that's what made me mad. I bought like 2 or 3 series of books uh, on Amazon, or there's a bookstore here in Canada that's very well known, and like one book out of the whole series was off. Like I think in one of the series I bought, all the books were black except for one. One of them was white, and that pissed me off so much. I'm like that's the kind of thing that does make me mad. And I know it's minor, it doesn't even impact the story. What's the difference whether the cover is black or white, right? But for me, it made a difference. Like that made me mad. And it didn't happen in just one series. It happened in like several of my series that I had bought, that like one or two of the books were somehow physically different from the others, and it made me mad. So if I do buy the other 2, I do have to make sure that it quote unquote fits into the series well. So all my point is that basically, if I do a review, I'm not 100% sure if I want to do a review of just the first book in the series, or if I want to do a review of the whole series, and consequently hold my thoughts until the end. But I have given my opinion on the little parts that I've mentioned and read so far. So that I've done. I actually haven't seen the show yet, Lori. So I've seen clips of it here and there, but I haven't seen. And that's the other thing. I'm a half tempted to. I'm not sure if I want to uh, buy a monthly subscription for what is it? It's not Hulu Plus. What is it on there? That TV channel. But I'm like, you know what I mean, right? Or to just go on YouTube and just buy, season one, watch it, review it, then buy season two, watch it, review it. I'm not 100% sure because, look, let's be honest here. I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm not being paid by YouTube or anybody. So for me to spend money on something to give my review, I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. um and that's kind of why I'm reviewing books and movies that I already bought, or that, hey, look, I'm gonna buy this book anyways, right? I'm gonna watch this show anyways. So okay, I'll share my opinion, right? So that's the other issue that I have with this. But I'll see. Hey, who knows? Maybe my luck will turn in tomorrow. I'll end up with 30,000 followers, and it might be worth my time to spend that money. But yeah, it's always that kind of cost effectiveness, right? I think the books, if I remember, Lori, I think most of the books came out before the show, because I think the very first two or three, if I remember my little bit of research that I did, the three first one came out in the 1990s. Like I think 95, 98, and 99 or something like that. And I think the show came out what in 2015 or something like that. You know what? I'll look it up, but I think the first three or four of the books came out before. Uh, so let me just look that up. I'll do a little quick Google search. So when did the Game of Thrones books come out? Okay, so the very first book apparently came out in 1996. And like I said, the last two came out last year and the beginning of this year. Okay, so the last two came out after the show, but the first few books came out before the show. So let's see, when did the Game of Thrones TV show start on TV? There we are. 2011. Okay, so yes, the first few books did come out well before the TV show came out, and I think, excuse me, and I think that's why I know a lot of people. Hello, Black Money Corp. How are you? I hope you're having a good night. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, I think that's why a lot of people were mad about, because I've heard a lot of really bad review of the last season, because apparently up until, and this is just what I'm going from what I heard, Laura, because like I said, I haven't read all the series, so I didn't watch the show, so I have no idea how much of this is true or not. But apparently, the first 6 or 7 seasons, give or take, were really following the book overall. Obviously, there's going to be some differences to some degree, right? But then the last season, for sure, and part of the 7 seasons apparently didn't follow the book at all, and that pissed off a lot of people when they were watching it. Especially season 8 was supposed to be the season finale, and I guess, people were also had these big expectations of the show, and it was disappointing. Yeah, and I mean that's what I think, Laura. That's what I get it. but I would love to be able to like have a show review where I can actually like show the show and like review it live. You know what I mean? But again, because of copyright, I can't do that. I have to have a special license in order to be able to quote unquote show a movie. You know, even the when you have I don't I'm pretty sure in your city too, Lori, because I know if they're doing this in Montreal, they're probably doing this elsewhere as well. But you know, you have a movie in the park, right? So they have, you know, they have a huge, you know, movie screen, right? And they can play a movie. Well, every time they do that, they have to get a special license for that, right? They can't just, hey, let's pick a movie and do it, right? They actually have to, you know, buy the movie or rent the movie, right? So if I were to do that, I'd have to put, and from what I hear, sometimes it can cost a few $1,000s to do that. Yeah, Black Money Corp. I mean, I just started reading the first book, and yeah, there's, and that's what I've noticed too. That there's a lot of like, hey, this storyline reminds me of this. This storyline reminds me of that. You're right. It does definitely does resonate a lot of actual history events and historical figures and historical groups and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it is, and but I do have to admit, Black Money Corp. It took me a moment to get into the book, because as I was saying before, I did start reading it maybe 5 or 6 months ago. I read like I think the first page, and put the book down. I couldn't. I could not get myself into it. And the only reason why I'm reading this book now and have no issues with reading it is because people said, well, if you're going to start the series quietly reading, you're going to have to start with Game of Thrones. It was done by popular vote. That's the only reason why I'm reading it. And it's now at the point where I'm nearly done. And it is actually pretty interesting now. But I guess now it's because it's more into the whole, like, again, that battle between who's gonna be the new king. Is the heirs really the heirs, and blah blah blah. So it's now into that you know, more interesting part of it. You know, because for me, that's when people really started describing Game of Thrones, and oh yeah, there's dragons, there's these fictional creatures, and so when I saw the first couple of pages, like, where are the dragons? Where's all these? You know, it was just so presented to me in such a way that it would be much more fantasy than it was. Yeah, castle intrigue. So while the book really, it's really much more of a historical fiction than it is a fantasy book. You know, there is fantasy elements because obviously, as I said, there are dragons and stuff like that in the book. But it's really much more of a historical fiction because, like you said, there's a lot of uh, based on true events elements to it that they're kind of reinventing and using, you know, the fictional and fantasy elements to it to make it, instead of it being like you said, the War of the Roses or whatever, instead of it being the actual event, that it's more like George R. R. Martin's like personal reimagining of it. You know, like what if the War of the Roses were involved, like involved superheroes or something like that, right? So but yeah, it's now starting to get a little bit more interested and more into the kind of elements that at least get my attention. So, anyways, that's it for tonight, guys. I will have, as you guys saw, probably, hopefully, I do have quite a few scheduled lives for this week. One of them will be only in French. Okay, so I'm telling you guys that now. So be forewarned. So if you go to one of my lives and I'm only speaking French, you'll know why. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely recommend, Lori, that you try reading the book. I'm sure it's available at your local library. I honestly, I mean, I guess, look, I don't know about your financial situation. I wouldn't recommend buying the book. I semi regretted putting money into it, but you know, so I'm sure your local library probably has copies of it, right? So, I mean, take out the first one and hey, follow along on my lives with me. Read it half an hour with me, And then, if you like it, great, you read the book on your own. If you don't like it, well, you return the book 2 days later or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's up to you. I think it's worth at least giving it a try. I mean, that's why I love my local library, right? There's always books where, oh, do I buy it? Do I not buy it? I'm not sure. You can always see if your local library has it. If they have it, you try your luck. If you enjoy it, okay. If you think it's worth spending your money on after that, okay, go ahead, buy the series. It's up to you, Lori, obviously. So yeah, so I have a few lives, like I said, scheduled for later on this week, pretty much one a day. Um, but yeah, a few of them will they'll have elements that are not necessarily the typical things that I talk about. You'll notice that there's a basic theme for my upcoming lives where I essentially talk about privacy on the internet, in a direct and indirect way. So hopefully you guys find that interesting. Yes, there will be some controversy in those lives, but you guys know me well enough. I know none of us are BFFs, but I try to stay away from too much controversies. I'm not that kind of person that likes to rock the boat a whole lot, although sometimes I do things or say things that might be controversial or things that most people might not like or agree with. But hopefully, I'm not offensive to anybody, and hopefully, you guys will join me and share your thoughts on the topics, regardless of whether you agree with me or not. I hope that we can always have open discourses, regardless of whether we agree on everything or not. So, on that note, guys, I'm going to call it a night. So, I hope you guys have a good Tuesday night, and I hope that tomorrow is a wonderful day for you if we don't see each other. But hopefully, we will see each other for tomorrow's live. As you guys know, I had to move. Tonight normally would have been my art review, but I moved it for tomorrow. So I will talk about the theme of privacy in art. Okay, so that will be the first element where I talk about our expectations for privacy on the internet. So have a good night. Have a good one, Lori. Have a good one, Black Money Corp. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that recommendation, Black Money Corp, and I'll let you know if I've read it or I looked into it or not. So have a good one. Tomorrow's live, I believe, might is at 9 p.m. if I remember correctly, but it's up and scheduled. So hopefully I see you guys tomorrow. If not, have a great day, guys. I hope you have a wonderful night and your day tomorrow is absolutely perfect and wonderful. So have a good one, guys. Bye. Au revoir.